Shocked. That's the reaction from Jimmy Kimmel and his staff after they got the news their show was suspended.
Jimmy Kimmel. For years, he's been the late-night host who kept millions laughing. The man who could turn any awkward moment into comedy gold. And the familiar face America relies on at the end of a long day. But just moments ago, heartbreaking. News about Kimmel has started spreading, and fans everywhere are stunned. While Jimmy Kimmel has always kept much of his private life out of the spotlight. Those who followed his journey know he's faced his share of emotional challenges. Now, new details have emerged that reveal a deeply personal struggle he has been quietly dealing with behind the scenes. And for many who have admired his strength, resilience, and humor, this news feels especially heavy. Sources close to him say the update has shaken the people around him, prompting an outpouring of support from colleagues, longtime viewers, and even former guests who worked with him over the years. Though Kimmel hasn't spoken publicly in detail yet, those familiar with the situation say it explains why he has appeared more reflective, emotional, and subdued in recent weeks. Fans have taken to social media to share their memories, their appreciation, and their hopes that he gets the space, time, and support he needs. For someone who has dedicated decades to lifting people's spirits, the world now finds itself wanting to lift his dot. The full story behind this heartbreaking update shows a side of Jimmy Kimmel that few have seen. A reminder that even those who bring us the most joy are sometimes carrying the heaviest burdens. And as more details unfold, one thing is clear: the love and concern for him has never been greater. For more than 2 decades, Jimmy Kimmel has been one of television's most familiar and comforting figures. As the face of Jimmy Kimmel Live, he's entertained millions with his humor, his honesty, and his unique ability to blend sincerity with comedy. Viewers tune in expecting laughter, but what they rarely see is the emotional weight carried by the man behind the microphone. And now, with heartbreaking news emerging about Kimmel's personal life, many are realizing just how much he's been shouldering in silence. According to people close to him, Kimmel has recently been navigating a deeply personal challenge that has affected him more profoundly than fans could imagine. While he has always been open about certain difficult moments, like his son Billy's early health struggles, this new struggle is something he has kept almost entirely private. Those who've worked with him for years say they began noticing subtle changes long before any public updates surfaced. Quieter moments between commercial breaks, longer pauses before monologues, a certain heaviness in his tone, even when he was joking. Part of what makes this moment so emotional for fans is that Kimmel has always been deeply connected to his audience. He never played the part of a polished celebrity, trying to appear untouchable. Instead, he built his legacy on being approachable. A real person who loves his family, cares about his community, and wears his heart on his sleeve when it matters. So when heartbreaking news about him began to circulate, it felt personal. It felt close. It felt like something happening to a friend. Sources familiar with the situation say that in the past few months, Kimmel has been balancing his duties as a beloved host with the emotional strain of what's been unfolding off-camera. Those closest to him describe it as a period of quiet endurance, where he continued showing up for his audience even while privately dealing with something heavy and difficult. Whether during interviews, sketches, or monologues, he pushed through, but insiders say the weight of the situation was never far from his mind. People on set describe moments when Kimmel, usually the comedic anchor of the room, would fall silent after a rehearsal or retreat to his office between segments. It wasn't dramatic or obvious, but it was noticeable to those who know his rhythms well. Jimmy's always been the heartbeat of the building, one longtime staffer reportedly said. When he's hurting, you can feel it, even when he's trying to hide it. At home, the situation has naturally brought moments of reflection, quiet conversations, and an emotional balancing act between family life and public responsibility. Kimmel has always prioritized family above everything else, And those close to him say that this chapter in his life has only deepened that priority. He's spending more time with loved ones, leaning on the people who ground him, and focusing on the things that bring him peace. The heartbreaking update spreading now doesn't diminish who Jimmy Kimmel is. If anything, it reveals his humanity even more. It shows that behind the jokes, behind the stage lights and studio applause, there is a person who feels deeply, who protects his privacy fiercely, and who faces challenges with quiet resilience. And for fans who have followed his journey for years, this moment serves as a powerful reminder. The people who make us laugh the hardest are often the ones carrying burdens nobody sees. As more details continue to emerge, one thing is certain. Jimmy Kimmel is navigating this difficult chapter with the same strength, humility, and compassion that have defined him for decades. And now, the world that he has lifted up for so long is rallying around him in return, only a few hours after the initial whispers began spreading online. Jimmy Kimmel's team released a short but emotional statement, one that immediately sent shockwaves through his fan base. The message didn't go into detail, but it confirmed that something serious had happened behind the scenes. Something that required Jimmy to step away from work, cancel planned appearances, and put everything on hold. For longtime viewers, this was deeply unsettling. Jimmy has always shown up through exhaustion, through personal hardships, even during global events that brought Hollywood to a standstill. So for him to step back without explanation, that alone told fans that the situation was far more concerning than anyone imagined. Within minutes, social media filled with worried comments. People posted old clips of Jimmy's funniest moments, emotional monologues, and heartwarming stories about his family, all trying to piece together what could possibly have happened. Insiders close to the show later hinted that a private family situation had suddenly taken priorities, something so important that even the normally upbeat, always professional host needed time away to handle it. For the first time in years, Jimmy's familiar voice was missing from late-night TV, and fans couldn't help but fear the worst. Behind the laughter, behind the monologues that millions tune in to watch every night, Jimmy Kimmel has always been remarkably private about his personal life. While he's openly shared challenges in the past, like the premature birth of his son Billy, this latest heartbreaking news reveals a chapter he has kept almost entirely to himself. According to sources close to Kimmel, the past few months have been emotionally taxing. Balancing the pressures of hosting one of the most watched late-night shows in the country while confronting a personal crisis has required extraordinary strength. On set, staff have noticed subtle changes, moments of introspection, a softer tone, and a quiet presence between sketches. Even his co-hosts and writers, who work closely with him every day, sensed that something significant was weighing heavily on him. Friends describe Jimmy as resilient, but human. For decades, he has been the person who lifts others, using humor to diffuse tension, bring people together, and shine a light on difficult topics. Yet this news reminds the world that even those who make others laugh the hardest are not immune to hardship. The man who delivers jokes with precision, timing, and wit now faces a struggle that is deeply personal and profoundly human. Kimmel has been leaning on his inner circle family, close friends, and trusted colleagues for support. Those familiar with the situation say he is determined to face the challenge head-on, drawing strength from the very people who mean the most to him. While the exact nature of the situation remains private, it has been described as a period of reflection, adjustment, and resilience. Jimmy is taking steps to protect his family, his mental health, and his ability to continue working once the immediate circumstances are addressed. Fans have responded with an outpouring of empathy and love. Social media platforms are flooded with messages of support, with viewers sharing how much Jimmy has meant to them over the years. Many express a sense of solidarity, noting that just as he has comforted and entertained millions, The public now hopes to return the favor by sending encouragement and understanding during this difficult period. This chapter in Kimmel's life highlights a truth often overlooked. Public figures are human. They have struggles, fears, and moments of vulnerability that remain unseen behind the cameras. The heartbreaking news reminds everyone that even someone who brings laughter and joy to millions can face deeply personal challenges that require time, privacy, and care. While Jimmy Kimmel remains mostly silent publicly, his legacy of resilience, humor, and empathy continues to resonate. Fans are reminded that his impact is not limited to television ratings or viral moments. It is the emotional connection he creates with viewers that endures, especially during times when he himself needs that support the most. As the world waits for more updates, the message is clear. Jimmy Kimmel is confronting something significant, and he is doing so with courage and the support of those who love him. The laughter may be paused for now, but the spirit, resilience, and humanity of Jimmy Kimmel remain as powerful as ever. Even in the midst of heartbreaking news, one thing has become abundantly